Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in another video day. And today, the New York Knicks have signed Cameron Payne, veteran point guard, who's been in the NBA since the 2015-16 season, to a one-year, $3.3 million deal. Cameron Payne this past season spent his time with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers. He was a part of a trade that sent Patrick Beverley to the Milwaukee Bucks. I believe him and the second-round pick went to Philadelphia. I know, of course, he went to Philadelphia, but I believe he was sent with a second-round pick, and that's how the Bucks landed Patrick Beverley. He ended up playing 78 games with 10 starts with the two teams, averaging 17 minutes per game. He shot 43% from the floor, 39% from the three, averaging 7.4 points per game. He also averaged 3 assists per game, 1.5 rebounds per game, and a half a steal per game. Look, I like the signing for the Knicks. I don't like the signing for Cam Payne. I think a guy who is definitely a nice backup point guard and a guy who has brought decent scoring and decent three-point shooting to almost every team he's played on. He's a career three-point shooter, 37%. Besides his early years with OKC and Chicago, was a terrible three-point shooter, but ever since then, since the 2017-18 season all the way to this season, he's been a great career three-point shooter. His first 2 seasons of his career from three, shot 32% and 31%, absolutely terrible. But since then, things have been different. 2017-18 season, 39% from three. 2018-19 season, right back to terrible 30%, but ever since then, it's been great three-point shooting for Cam Payne. 2019-20 season, 52%. 2020-21 season, 44%. 2021-22 season, 34%. 2022-23 season, 37%. And then this past season, 39%. So this is a good, efficient three-point shooter who's been great with shooting since the 2019-20 season. The last, 4 or 5 seasons, he's been absolutely killing it from three. I think making some decent money. He's getting $3.3 million here. He's getting a chance to play on one of the top teams in the East. I think the New York Knicks, you could argue, are probably the best talent, or the most all-around talented team in the Eastern Conference outside of the Boston Celtics. I like the 76ers. They have 3 great players in Paul George and Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. But I think if we're talking about all-around talent, as a group, as a whole, as a roster, outside of the Boston Celtics, I think the next best team, next best talent all around roster in the East goes to the New York Knicks. So he's going to get the chance to play on a pretty good team, but I don't think he's going to get the chance to play a lot, because if you look at their team right now, if nobody gets moved, obviously you're going to have Brunson starting in point guard. So look, I don't think anybody was expecting for Cam Payne to come in and be the starting point guard for the New York Knicks. I wasn't. Definitely know that Jalen Brunson's going to be that starting point guard. But here's where things get tricky. With Randall and Mitch Robinson most likely not getting moved, that means Mikal Bridges is playing the starting shooting guard. So OG's playing small forward, Julius Randle's playing power forward, and the center is Mitch Robinson. That puts Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart off the bench. And who's also off the bench for this New York Knicks team? Miles McBride. So there's no playing time. Unless you move Josh Hart to unless you go really, really small, put Josh Hart as the backup power forward, I guess Miles McBride at the backup 3, and Dante DiVincenzo is the backup 2, and then Cameron Payne's the backup 1. I don't see a way where obviously you have Jalen Brunson getting minutes as the starting point guard, and then you have 3 guards off the bench already with McBride, Josh Hart, and Dante DiVincenzo. So, look, Cam Payne's a great player. He's a great three-point shooter. He's a good scorer. Someone who averaged 10 points per game with the Phoenix Suns in the 22-23 season, 11 points per game with the Suns in the 21-22 season. When the Suns made it to the NBA Finals in the 21-22 season, in the playoffs he was great for the Suns, averaging 5 points per game with 2 assists per game and 2 rebounds per game, and only 13 minutes per game for the Phoenix Suns in their playoff run. Also want to mention, big thing here, Payne is reuniting with Mikal Bridges from that Phoenix Suns team in the 21-22 season. They were also on the same team for a couple years. 2019-20 season, they were on the same team. 2022-23 season, they were on the same team. So, teammates for 2.5 seasons, Payne and Mikal Bridges are reunited. So, that will be interesting to see those two guys reunited after being teammates for 2.5 seasons. So maybe that had to roll into Payne wanting to go to New York. I don't know, but what I do know is this is a very solid guard who's a great 3-point shooter, a good scorer, not a bad facilitator as well, and I don't see him getting a bunch of minutes or any minutes at all unless there are injuries to this New York Knicks team, because obviously you have Brunson and Bridges starting at the 1 and 2 in the starting lineup, which that leads to, off the bench, McBride, Josh Hart, and Dante DiVincenzo. So that leads also to no minutes for Payne. I like the signing for New York. I think this is a great addition. That is not my complaint. I think this is a great addition for New York. Great depth. And if postseason comes and a couple injuries happen like they did, this is a guy who will be able to step up for you. So that's a reason why I love this signing. But for Payne, not a big fan for this. Look, I'm not a. And this could be a good place for him because he's playing with someone he's comfortable with Mikal Bridges, and there is a chance that he could get minutes because injuries could happen. There are multiple guys in that New York Knicks team that have problems with injury. Last season, there's 3 guys on that roster, on that starting lineup from last season that had multiple problems with injuries. Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, and OG Anunoby, everybody from the front court on that starting lineup had injury problems last season. Don't know if that will continue next season, but there are chances for playing time if injuries happen, which you never want to see. So let me know your thoughts on the signing for the New York Knicks in the comment section, and peace out.